Thank you for joining us here in Seniors Mastermind Network Tuesday. We are here empowering and educating anybody in the 55 older market. So I know the word seniors is kind of outdated, so I'm going to rename it boomers because it really is the boomer generation. Today we have Ed Robinson from Toronto. Ed, the floor is yours, and he's going to be sharing his screen with us. Ed, take it away.
Thank you very much, Heather, and thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really honored to be here. I know your group, and I get on whenever I can. And I had an idea a few years ago about the seniors, knowing that it's going to be a very great market to belong to, and being one, and really having a passion for helping seniors. Make sure I have a lot of fun with them. I tell them, I say, look, I got to get you all I can because this is probably your last kick at the can. So let's do the best job we can for you. And they really like that. So I got together with a lawyer, and his name is on there. I'll just introduce the people that I've got on that are working with me. John McCauley. I'm hoping you all see that screen with John McCauley on. And just nod your head, Heather. I know. Okay, you got it. Good. He's a lawyer, of course, and Carol Ann McKay is our financial advisor. And actually, when we do seminars, John and Carol Ann are more popular than I am. They love these guys, what they come up with. Carol Ann's telling them whether you should put the kids on the name with the cottage or not put them on the cottage. How are you going to handle your estates? And John's doing wills and estates. And I'm telling them about what the market's going on. So the three of us do the speaking, but we had to form that thing to put it together. And we had to find people to put it in and make it work. What I'm doing is I'm actually, excuse me, I'm actually displaying my iPad screen on the screen here. So I will be switching back and forth to a couple of screens when we go through this. We call it the Seniors GTA Specialist. GTA is a short form up here for Greater Toronto Area. So if you have said GTA, everybody knows exactly what you're talking about. So I came up with the name Seniors GTA Specialist. And Heather, maybe I'll have to name a Boomers GTA Specialist in the near future, okay? So I'm going to be using my Apple Pencil. I'm going to be swiping some screens around. I have another pastime that I have a passion for, okay? And we own a condo in Winmore, and I spent up to 4 months a year down there. I just bought that golf cart last year, and I'm in love with it. You can't imagine how, Gloria thought I was local Coco for buying it. Someone's got a phone on. Okay, so Gloria thought I was crazy, but now she loves it because she goes for rides in it all day too. So we also have a lot of fun. I'm going to get into a little bit about the types of ownership. We have probably very similar to you. There are some differences because I have bought a condo down there in Florida, so I'm pretty aware with the purchases. We have freehold, but you have semi-detached, row house, townhouse, and links. I don't know if you have link homes down there. A link home means it's attached somewhere, maybe at the roof or underground even. But as long as it's linked, they can overcome a 40-foot requirement for a frontage. Condominiums, row house, townhouses, and some detached condominiums. Life lease. Now, in a condominium, let me cover this first. You cannot stipulate an age group in a condominium in Ontario. I know that's not true in Florida because I'm in a 55 plus community where they can restrict an age group in a condo. But that's against the law here. That was tried years ago and somebody complained, took it to court and won. So what they did, they came up with something new called life lease. So when you're 55, you can now move into a life lease. See, you can stipulate an age group in a lease. So what you do is you lease the property for 99 years. And if you pass, your estate will take the property and sell it, or you can sell it yourself if you want to, but you're selling a lease. And it's exactly the same as living in a condominium, except you're getting that thing where you don't want the kids running up and down the hallway because you're in a 55 plus community. And we have one other type called a co-op. It has a couple of other arrangements with it. A co-op, there aren't many of them. I think I've sold one in 40 years. And it's a little difficult because you don't own the unit you're in. You own shares proportionate to the number of square feet you have in that building. I don't know if you have that type of thing elsewhere. So you're not owning real estate, you're owning shares in a building and being given so much a square foot for the unit that you're living in. The problem with that is you can't get a mortgage on shares. So you have to either have a really good line of credit or cash to buy in that. So that's the major types of properties that we have. Of course, in my senior part of the business, mine is pretty well going from freehold to condo or life lease, rarely to a co-op. So those are the type of things, that's the type of real estate that I'm looking for. And it's the demographics with that I want to get. So I'll just go on here. About tax on foreign buyers, which might be interesting to you folks. There's a new law coming out. I think it has to do a lot with COVID because we have a lot of vacancies downtown in condos right now. And because of that, hold on a second here. Something happened here. Bear with me just a moment. Well, isn't that interesting? I just lost connection with my iPad on the screen. So bear with me while I get it back here. Okay, it's not what I wanted to do, but I'm going to have to do it with my computer instead for time being. So bear with me. I'm just going to open up on my computer. I can only imagine that it caused a bit of an issue with sharing the screen. So we'll go into here instead, and I'll do a presentation from here. I'll play it in the window. There we go. Okay, so the government is presently, do you see the screen now with the government building there? Heather?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. As far as foreign buyer tax, if anyone down there is thinking about buying up here, yes, there is a foreign buyer tax, but they are going through something else. We have a lot of vacancies in downtown Toronto in condos. They're starting to fill up a bit because a lot of them are Airbnb. And of course, Airbnb is not really sending a lot of people to Canada right now to rent for going on fishing trips and that sort of thing. So they're going to add a 1% tax to the value of the assessed value of the property on properties occupied for a certain period of time. Michelle, I'm sorry, I'm hearing you. There we go.
You as a referral partner also get a portal where you.
Okay, thank you. So that's a bit of an issue with foreign buyer tax right now. Okay. So I wanted to create a seniors niche market. The sources of the seniors, tax lists. That's something you have to be wherever you are, depends whether it's allowed or not. Land registry, social media, Evite, your database. You can do things through social media with Facebook to try to attract seniors and so forth. So that's going to be your choice. I'm going to show you what I did here, which is quite okay with the way I did it. What do we want to do? We want to have them register on a landing page somewhere. So how do we get them to register on a landing page? We have to send them there some way. We have to have presenters, myself, a lawyer, an accountant, financial advisor, home inspectors, mortgage brokers. We've had all these people speaking for us. They've all been very popular too. The location, the presentations, and then how do we follow them up? That's more or less the basis of what was done in order to arrive at our group. So I had to find areas that I wanted to work on. So these are out in the east end of Toronto, Lake Ontario. It's called Scarborough, and it's along the Scarborough Bluffs. The Scarborough Bluffs are 200-foot cliffs at the edge of Lake Ontario. It's quite a sight when you belong to the yacht club down there and you look at the cliffs up there. So there's a lot of homes in this neighborhood, thousands of homes in this area, but it's also close to the lawyer's office. And I want to work with this lawyer. How I got this lawyer involved in this was we were both members of the Scarborough Chamber of Commerce in Toronto. And he did a talk one day, and I wanted to build a relationship with him because he did estates, wills, and seniors selling properties. So I went up to him after he talked and I said, John, I love what you said. You were a great speaker and you had some great information for us. I really appreciate it. He said, well, thank you. I said, I want to ask you, would you mind if I sent you some business? I did the reverse idea rather than asking him for business. Of course, he accepted it. And we have been friends for the last 20 years, at least, doing business back and forth with each other because of that. So that's how I built the relationship with John. So I want to divide this up. So I divided this area you're looking at on the screen into 7 different areas. And I took area 1, I'll just go through 5. And I wrote down all the streets in those areas, okay?
All the streets in those areas.
Katrina, there we go. I really want to have my iPad up there. Let me try one more time if I can get it up there, because it's more important for me to have it than here, because I want to write some stuff on the screen and I can't write on my, there we go. I think you should be seeing my iPad again, I hope.
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's go down to this screen. Bear with me. Okay, so then I took, and what I can do here is I could say, there's Poplar Road, there's Coronation Drive, Morningside Avenue. So I wanted to write all those streets down. I wrote them down on a notepad on my iPad. And what happened is, here's all the streets in area 5. So now what I had to do is I wanted to find the seniors on those streets. This is my method of doing it. You better make sure it's okay in your area. It's just okay in my area, because I had to go into the tax department, or a land registry, I should say. I got this idea because I keep getting, you're pre-qualified with Capital One. How did they get it? They got it from the same place I got this from. So what I did is I went in then to the land registry here at Toronto Real Estate Board, and here's a Livingston Drive, okay? So all the streets on all the homes on Livingston's Drive, I tapped on each one or clicked on them with my mouse, get my cursor out of there. And when I did, I'm looking for homes that were owners since 1990 or earlier. If they're 1990 or earlier, they're probably a senior. So that was my assumption. And then here's the form that did it. And yes, these people bought January the 4th, 1981. They're definitely a senior. So I grabbed that name and I would put them into a spreadsheet. And here's a spreadsheet. So let's say Coronation Drive, you see 10, 19, 26, 112, 152. Those are all people been in their homes since 1990 or earlier. So I got Coronation Drive, Toronto, Ontario, the postal code or zip code, and seniors area number 5. But I don't have the names yet on the right-hand side over in here. I want to get the names now to put them in there so I know who they are. So I got those names as I just showed you. And when I got the name down here, oh, I'll just get the red. When I got the name down here, I simply transferred it manually and put it in here. So now I have all the names in here of the people. This is in a spreadsheet. On Windows, you'd be using Excel. On Mac, I'm using Mac, I'm using Numbers. And you can export that as a CSV file, import it right into KV Core or whatever database you might be using, and be sure to tag it or use it as a senior. A senior, name your group, whatever you want. Mine is Seniors GTA Specialist. Okay, so now I've got all these names in here, and I gradually start adding them. We have meetings with the lawyer and the financial advisor. This one was June the 27th in 2018. We said, let's do our next one in September, mid-month, more names, monthly newsletter, time to reserve the community center, 9:30 to 12:30. So all the notes, the things we had to do. Then I said, these are the things I'm going to talk on is closings, deposits, past, present, future market representation as client, customer, multiple seniors, electronic signatures. So we just talked everything out, made notes on everything that we did. So we were cataloged, shared the notes. So we made no mistakes of what we're doing because we wanted to make this to be a success right from day one. So that was our notes. Then we decided we would do it at a mailing. This was rather cumbersome and it was time consuming. And we did hire someone to do the stuffing, stamping, and sealing because we sent out 1,000 letters. Up in the right corner, what that is, in Canada Post Office, we can buy I have a membership, it's not a contract, it's just an account. They still take my money, believe me, where if we have a 500 mailing, we get a discount. Our regular mailing is a lot more expensive than yours. It's $1 for a letter. I think it's $1.07 actually. Mailing it this way, if you have 500, the cost is 50 cents. If you pay another penny, you'll get return mail if it was rejected. So I do pay the penny because I don't want to be spending 50 cents on people that don't actually live there anymore. Also on this, you notice I put in the bottom left, invitation enclosed, making it kind of interesting. Maybe they'll be sure to open it up. And that's my address up top left, which is my home address. So that's the envelope that we did. And here is what we stuffed in the envelope. Now, John McCauley, the lawyer, of course, myself in the middle, and Jeff Crew was our first speaker. Jeff's a chartered accountant. He did this as a favor. It was nothing in it for him, but Jeff owns a very large office. He's probably got 20 accountants working for him. And he was on the verge of retiring. He says, no, I'll come in and help you guys. He was also a member of the Chamber of Commerce, so a personal friend. So he came in and helped us out on the first one. So John, on the back of the sheet, as you see on the right-hand side of the page, I own a home. What have I become incapable? What is probate and when is it needed? Avoiding probate fees. Why don't you? So then Jeff carried choosing a financial advisor, managing protecting, and I talked about current market, what's your home worth, and so forth. So those are the topics that we had already. We had that stuffed in the envelope. And one of the seniors that I already knew, we took them all over to her and paid her $350. She stuffed them, sent them, and was delighted because she made some money on it and got them all mailed out for her, sort of thing. So it became a senior group event by that time. So from there, in order to, now Jeff is gone now, he just did the one with us, and now we went in with Carol Ann McKay. We went to a postcard. It made it a lot less expensive. I ran the postcards off with a printing company. And then I simply printed the backside, which on my printer. I have a fairly hefty printer. And Carol Ann, they'd come just to see her. You know, she talks about TFSA. TFSA is a big thing in Canada, tax-free savings account. Through your lifetime, up to a certain amount per year, you can put it into a savings account that's designated at the bank as a tax-free savings account. You take that money out when you retire. You have to start taking it out at age 72, I think it is, but you take it out at a lot lesser tax rate than you would at your earlier lifetime. And in this particular one, what was interesting compared to, I think it was last week, was our speaker was a mortgage broker, and he talked about reverse mortgages, which everybody loved because you had the same speaker last week, not him, but the same idea. The only way they can register is they have to go to seniorsgtaspecialist.com. I stipulated that from day one because I want their email and I get their address at the same time. Then I've got all the information that I need to be able to keep in touch with them. So that was a very important part. And the other two agreed to it, that it was the seniors that we had to do the web page. So I built the landing page. I built it with something called Wix, Wix.com, which is pretty simple to create a web page. It's like 1, 2, 3, and you're done. I drag and drop in a word processor. So then on the back of, oops, hold on a second. I just went a little too fast there. On the back of that on that postcard is where I printed the postcard. So these are the names on the left-hand side. Maybe I can just change here a little bit, give you a little better look at that. What I did, because KV Core, I had to change to this program because KV Core will print labels, but you can't print the address on a postcard with KV Core. It just is not going to work. So it just doesn't happen. They do labels, but I just can't think of anything worse than sending a mail out to a person with a label. Sorry, that's just me. It's got to be done not as a label. So I bought this program, Tapforms Mac. I think it was $40. It's a bit of a learning curve, but once you're done with it, I've got, look at the upper left here, 976 seniors in that right now. And I can print the back of the postcard with that, with the stamp and everything on it, and personalized mail to them. Not a dear homeowner, it's personalized mail. That was important to me to be able to do it that way. So from there, here's the page they had to go to, seniorsgtaspecialist.com. And I'm just going to actually go to it here. I'm going to my web page, and I'm going to do I have to move that just a little bit. And seniors. So as I said, this is a Wix web page, very simple to do. And it looks like so. The little gold medallion here, that's just something I created. I thought it would look nice. And I stuck it in there. So it's become our little sign now. So there's all our, what we're going to talk about this thing. Up here, free seniors, next meeting will be done when we're allowed to have our group meetings again. We're going to do another Zoom meeting instead, though. Who knows when we're going to be able to do it. We're way behind you guys down there. We went flying into a third wave like you wouldn't believe with this thing. So we're in a bit of a mess up here right now with COVID. So there's a couple of pictures. I'll just talk about those pictures in a moment, that people that actually come to our seminars, so they can submit their name here and it automatically comes to me and I enter them into KV Core once they submit into the system. So that is, hold on a second here, I'll get back to here. And so now they're into the database. And this database you're looking at here was pre-KV Core, because I hadn't gone into KV Core yet. I like it now. I actually teach it in eXp world for the Canadian Auditorium. But this was called allclients.com, which is another database. I absolutely love it. It's really good. I prefer it over Top Producer or any of the others. And I was doing all my postcards and everything from here, but now I'm in the KV Core and I use the other one. But if you had been using a different one, you could. The monthly newsletter they get, and the seniors are going to get this all the time. Hold on just a second. I need an update done. We'll do it later. They can click on this, get stats from the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board or market charts up here. And I send them a newsletter. This is really important because this is my way of keeping up. I don't phone these people very rarely unless there's a reason to. I'm just not into that. I did it years ago. Believe me, I did the telemarketing when I started. Anybody know Mike Ferry? I was one-on-one coached by Mike Ferry. Believe me, I know how to telephone. However, this is a newsletter that I create. It's done at www.newscanada.com. There must be one in the States that you could get. I don't do flowers and how to bake a cake, okay? I do stories about homes. And they're like this, and they're great stories. Where to find the best decor updates. But these are advertisements by companies, but they're good stories. Spring home maintenance checkup, getting ready for spring by onlia.ca. Bathroom makeover tips by medalla.ca. And do-it-yourself tips to create a home theater. And this is by sonopan.com. And so I put 5 stories in once or twice a month. And this is all done in KV Core. It's not done in any work, no other program. It's all done in KV Core. And I'm very, very happy with KV Core now that I'm doing that. Once they can get doing printing envelopes, I'll be a lot happier. So there's the newsletter they're getting every month. So how are the participants and who we're talking to? A realtor, financial advisor, lawyer, accountant, mortgage broker, home inspector, politician. Politician we haven't had yet. I'm getting resistance from the lawyer on the, maybe he's got something to hide I don't know about, but I'm getting resistance from the lawyer on having a politician. I think right now, our politicians are called ministers. So I think our Minister of Health would be a great person to have speak. And I know that she would come. I do know her. So I'd like to have a politician come and do a talk. And I'm not finished trying to convince John that maybe that should be our next one, and because it's so timely, I believe. So how do we get seniors to attend? Well, as you just saw, we're using Canada Post, letter in an envelope. Then we switch to postcards, send seniors to a web page to register. Once they're registered, they go into KV Core. Now they get my monthly newsletter. Also, they're going to get any seminars that I do in the future without doing a mailing to them. At the bottom line there, before I mentioned to you before about the cost to do the printing with the postcard. And here I am now with KV Core. And if you're using KV Core, I considered it to be a database on steroids. I do like it very much. And I created a hashtag, if you know hashtags. The hashtag I have is hashtag SGTAS, Seniors GTA Specialist. So once I punch that into the filters, everybody that's in the seniors program comes up, okay? They've all been manually added by me, they're owned by me and so forth. And every time they've got stars for whatever they've done. So this is KV Corp. So where do we do our seminars? We decided to use the Scarborough Village Community Theater. Now I'm just going to move over here a little bit. Why do we go there? Well, it's economical. It is a community center. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows the location. It's close to their homes. Everybody along the lake there. This is only a half a mile. I almost said a kilometer. Half a mile from the lake. So it's very close to us. And everybody knows where there's free parking. And Tim Horton Coffee and Donuts is across the road. And for those that don't know, Tim Hortons is in Canada is Dunkin' Donuts down in your place, okay? So it's a very popular coffee donut shop is Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons was a hockey player with the Toronto Maple Leafs years ago. What about this building? It's a wonderful building, and I'll show you why. This is the hockey rink here, where the kids are playing. This part here is a community theater. And the theater, I'm a member there. The theater is just wonderful. They're live actors. We have Broadway quality downtown Toronto at the Royal Alex Theater and so forth. But these kids are amazing. And you're right up almost on the stage watching them. It's a wonderful theater. And the meeting rooms are along the back there where we went to have our meeting with the seniors. So they know where it is, easy parking. They know how to get into the building. They've already been in there 100 times before anyways. So it was the ideal location, and it's quite economical to rent. So a community center for seniors is a really good thing to do, or just a community center. It doesn't have to be for seniors. So this is one of the meetings there. Up front up there, that's John McCauley talking now as a lawyer. That's my screen he's got. Normally there's a picture on that screen. I'll show you that. That first picture you saw is what stays on the screen all the time. So they're always seeing us on there. And you can notice that Tim Horton Coffee, they've all got it. I sometimes think they come for coffee and donuts more than the meeting, but at least they come and see us. So it's a lot of fun having them over there. And they schmooze with each other and have a lot of fun. Now, one of the ladies at, I don't know if it was this meeting or another one, and it's funny too, because I sent them to my database. This couple up here, I sold them their house around 1983, 84, 3 or 4 years after I was in the business. And I put them in the mailing list, my existing clients. Wham, they showed up at the meeting. I couldn't believe it. I recognized them as soon as I saw them too. They said, "Oh, you remember?" I said, "Oh, God, could never forget you. Could never forget you." Now, one of the ladies at either this meeting or another one at the Scarborough Village Community Center came to me and says, "Would you consider speaking at the Probus meeting?" I don't know if you have Probus down the States. Probus is a seniors group right across the country. And they meet once a month. And it's all seniors. They get quite a crowd out. It's a membership to join. Very minimal fee, just the cost to rent the rooms. They rent in the Legion halls and that sort of thing, armed forces, retirees halls. And I went there and did a class there. So that's me teaching a class there. And that's my screen and the projector on the screen and so forth. And there's the people that came. 75 people attended that seminar. Unfortunately, because I was invited, I do not have their names and numbers, which was a shame. However, I did sell that lady's townhouse for her. And she went into a retirement residence after that. So I did get one sale out of that particular one. And I emailed Probus, and I've had a reply back from them because there's other Probus clubs in Toronto that yes, they'd be interested in having me back when they get back on their feet after we're through with COVID, which hopefully will end soon. They actually gave me this after the meeting. I couldn't believe it. That was September the 13th, 2017. They gave me a plaque, a little wooden plaque with that in it. I thought it was really nice of them to do that. So that was a little thank you for doing a talk. That's the part that I wanted to show you. That's all about how I created it. Created the team, you could call us a team, the three of us, and how we have guest speakers come in. We all spend about 10 minutes talking. So John, Carol Ann, myself, and the guest speaker. So 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes. We stop then, 20 minutes for Q&A. And I'm going to tell you now, sometimes the 10 minutes go for 40 minutes. They have so many questions. It's really quite interesting. They really are attentive. Especially because they're very careful with their money now, because as I said, it's the last kick at the can. Don't make any mistakes on it right now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go through the actual slide presentation that I do for them. It might help you in saying, well, I could do that too or something, or give you some ideas should you decide to do a senior seminar in your neck of the woods. Okay, so here we go. This is the actual one that I would do. I would start, this would be on the screen. Welcome, you are seniors. We are your seniors real estate specialists, and our three of us are on the screen. That stays on there when they're coming in, chit-chatting and talking. When Carol Ann talks and when John talks, it's still on there. When I talk, this is the start screen, and then I go into my slideshow. I'm going to do that for you now. I tell them a little bit who I am. I'm a real estate broker licensed in 1980 with Robert Case Realty. I've sold hundreds of homes in Scarborough. I've served on committees to the Toronto Real Estate Board. I've trained over 7,000 agents across Canada on becoming paperless for accredited continuing education course. And I have 2 books in the Apple Bookstore. And I'm also a seniors real estate specialist. So I go over all that with them. I'm talking really fast so I don't waste your time and bore you with it, so we can go through it, okay? I talked to them about paperless agent. Seniors do have sometimes reluctance. They're starting to really get used to it now, but I'm listing one next week and she will not have electronic signature. I'm having to run over to get her insurance signed. I become her assistant for Pete's sakes, but that's okay. Some seniors, you have to do that. I said to her, look, this is costing me money. I'm going to have to charge you a little extra commission. She says, that's okay, charge it. So it's okay. So I talk about if you want paper, then you will receive paper. I want them to know that you don't have to do anything in that. And that's the law. I also talked to them about customer relationship. What is the client in a real estate transaction? What is a customer? And what happens when we get into dual representation? And I explained that I personally don't do dual representation. If someone calls me off MLS about your home, I will treat them as a customer. I'll be fair and honest with them, but you are my client and they will not be my client, and they're fine with that and they understand that. So that's the way I deal with my clients. I talk about doing an evaluation, and I actually go through an evaluation just like this is going through for you to show them what we do to get to arrive at a proper value on the home so that they know they're getting a fair appraisal on the house, and that what's the average price and what's the recently sold and how many days on the market. So I go through that. I do spend some time on all this sort of stuff. Hold on a second. This does this to me sometimes, and I don't know why it's doing it to me. Just bear with me for a second.
I think it's because you slide one of them near the top of your screen and it makes all pop
yeah,
like that.
Yeah, and I've done this before, unfortunately. So just bear with me for a second here, because I know it's one of those windows up there. Just depends which one I'm going to get to.
Is that Mike Holmes in that picture?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, Mike Holmes is. He's got a little home inspection company here.
Correct.
And there we go. Okay. I have a bit of a joke fun with this one here. I said, folks, here's what you might think that your folks are buying today. But because of what's happened in the houses in the Toronto market right now, this is what people think they're paying for. So they get a chuckle out of that. And by the way, this is called Casaloma. It's in mid-uptown Toronto. I live about half a mile north of this in Toronto. And if you're ever here, be sure to go into Casaloma. It's a wonderful tourist attraction. The fellow that built it loved his wife so much that he built that castle for her. He invented electrical power coming into Toronto from Niagara Falls way back when. Did himself out too much, lost the house because he couldn't pay the taxes. The city took it over. Nobody wants to buy it because you can't convert it into a hotel. It costs too much money. So now it's a tourist attraction, weddings, banquets, and so forth. But if you're ever here, be sure to go through Casaloma. It's quite a nice couple hour walking through it. So anyways, that always keeps a chuckle because they all know Casaloma. What's affecting the market? Of course, this particular screen will change every time I do it. Because some things are not applicable anymore. I always like to say the government's intervened because that usually causes a problem. He says with a smirk on his face. Anyways, now this is interesting. Please disregard the gold line because that's this year. But when I'm talking to the people, this is what I showed them when we were talking about things like COVID and that. Here is Go by the blue line, which was 2020 last year. Mr. and Mrs. Jones here's, or all you folks here in the meeting at the senior seminar. There's the market, January, February, March last year, and there's COVID. And there's what happened after COVID. So you saw what happened with the number of sales dropping. But I want to show you something else. Here is what happened with the number of listings. Nothing happened. The volume dropped, but the listings to sold ratio stayed the same. In other words, because the number of homes, people didn't want to put their homes on the market, they were scared with COVID. People also didn't want to look at homes because they were scared with COVID. So the prices stayed very strong through the whole thing. As you can see, there was a wee bit of a dip, but not much on that blue line. So we stayed very constant. But now take a look at this year. It's just gone through the roof this year, of course. So we're actually in a very serious situation. I wish the market would slow down. I have a listing up now. We're holding off on offers. Everybody is. We're going to look at offers on Thursday night, and I know we'll have at least 5 or 6 offers on it, if not more. So it's just that type of market, and I really wish it would slow down because it's very hard for buyers. Everything has a top, and then it's going to end. I've been through this so many times over the years. I also explained to them that this is the type of report that we get from the Toronto Real Estate Board on a monthly basis. And if I were to show this to you folks, it would be overwhelming. So what I like to do is break it down for you. Now, this is the area, and this is the area that they're actually in when they were talking. I said, how would you feel thinking you saw on that list one here, West Hill homes were selling for 1.4 million, and your homes are only selling for 760,000 in Guildwood? Well, it's not true, because maybe a bunch of smaller ones sold one year and so on. So that's why we have to take in the whole. So I go through a little bit of a spiel on how we try to arrive at fair prices on properties, not just 1 or 2 particular things, how to smooth the average to come up with a fair price. About mapping how that, we're going to look for homes in your area. We don't, and this is your house here. So we don't want to, be looking at something 2 miles up the road. We want to keep them as close as possible. Should you stay or should you move? That's the big question seniors always have. I love doing this one for them. Well, folks, you've got a house, you've been there for 35 or 40 years. The roof is going to need doing pretty soon. The furnace is getting a little bit old and the windows are the snow is starting to come through the windows when it's not open. So you might want to consider making the move. Well, the normal thing that people do is they say, let's sell and buy a condo. So you say, okay, let's sell and buy a condo. Then you say, no, you know what we should do with the price of homes today? Why don't we sell and we'll rent an apartment? Well, okay, let's sell and rent an apartment. But we've got to get out of this place in the wintertime. It's so cold up here. Let's go down to Arizona. Maybe we'll go to Florida, Texas. What do you think? Well, I think so. Why not we do one of those things and we'll get something in Florida or wherever down south, keep warm for the winter. Okay. But Muskoka, by the way, is about 80 miles north of Toronto. Beautiful lakeside country, beautiful. Why don't we just sell and buy in Muskoka? That's a good idea. We could do that too. But we still want to go down and get a place in Florida. Okay, we can still do both. But wait a minute. What about those life leases, 55 and over? We don't want the kids running around the hallway. All right, we'll sell. We'll get into the life lease. And we're also going to maybe get a place down south. But you know what's happened? The kids have done so well. The kids have got the home up on Post Road here in Toronto. Drake, the singer, lives on Post Road, okay? So they've got a magnificent home up there. They've got a separate quarter, separate entrance that we can live there totally free. So we'll sell and we'll move in with the kids and we'll still get that place in Florida. But, living with the kids could be a real drag. I'm not sure I want to do that. But if we did, we could still decide to buy up north or maybe get the condo or rent, or we could still get a place in Florida. We could always change and go down here. So all you folks here, I want to show you that you have a lot of choices, more choices than you ever dreamt that you'd ever have on finding something to move to and what to do. And that's my job as a seniors real estate specialist, is to find something for you that you are going to like. So, I'm running out of time. I'm sorry, I could go on for hours. I go through electronic signatures so that they see what's going on. And how they're done. I tell them what I put on my computer, you're going to see on your screen. So everything works out lovely there. Showings would be by appointment only, no open houses. By the way, this is just me. I don't hold open houses. If you do, you might want to reverse it and say, well, you should open houses. I don't hold them. And I tell them why. I have member alert on open house theft in Mississauga, member alert, open house theft in Davisville. These are reports from the Toronto Real Estate Board. So folks, I don't want to have an open house. There's this one's been done 3 times I'm aware of. The falling pregnant woman. She falls when she comes in with her 2 buddies, Joe and Charlie. She fell. Oh my God, your focus is on this poor lady laying on the floor pregnant. You and Joe are working on her, trying to get her up. Are you okay? Well, I don't know. I think I'm really hurt. I'm not too sure. Where's Charlie? Well, Charlie's upstairs doing some shopping in the medicine chest for some drugs. He's looking in your jewelry box to see what he can get there. So folks, I don't want you to have an open house. I don't want that to happen. I want you to have a really good thing, because what happens, Charlie comes back down, she all of a sudden feels a lot better. They get up and walk out. This is not pretend. This is an actual case that has gone on recently in Toronto. So what do I want? I want your home to be shown by appointment only with an agent with qualified buyers that are looking to buy. These agents are licensed, they're guaranteed, and they're safe to come into your home. So that's what I want for you. Why do I need a realtor? Professional photography. I got the hottest feature sheets in town. So anyways, I go through photography. I go through home staging. And this is all on the big screen. I'm going to go through, I better be done quickly. I'm sorry it takes long. I go through an example here. I have 3 examples. One here is someone wanted to list a house for $450,000. I convinced them to list for $550, I guess it was. And this is the actual property. There's before and after, And they listened to me. They went with getting it cleaned up and staged. Look at the difference on the cleaning up and staging, painting, stage. Took a good 3 weeks to get the place ready. But I showed them that my $545,000 after expenses was $500,000. The other agent wanted to just sell it as is at that. So I made them an extra $78,250 by doing what I did. So I show this to them, that some of the way, it's not just the cheapest commission or the cheapest this, it's what's getting done to get you the top dollar. The most newest thing now is the virtual staging. And I haven't done this one yet because this is new for me, where I'm taking vacant properties and I'm putting in virtual staging. And I explain on the listing that this home has been virtually staged in order to help buyers realize the potential in this fine home. So they know that it's not real staging. Look at that. They even put a pool table in the rec room. Beautiful job this guy does. He's really great with his photography. And I get floor plans at the same time. Home inspections, I just go through it very quickly, explain what goes on with the home inspection so they're aware of it. And the pages, I think, should full. There we go. They'll go through very quickly, and then we get on to the next screen. We're almost finished up, I promise. 40 minutes. I'm 44, Heather. We're almost there, okay? So I do explain a home inspection in detail. I show Matterport, which I'm sure you all know Matterport. And I go through 3 last properties. And this is something I've learned, is that, and I learned this from the drug companies advertised on television. Give the worst things first, or the things you don't want people to remember as much, and pick the things that you want them to remember and tell them that last. And that way they'll remember the last things first, okay? Where that's why your drug companies will tell you, you may die of this, you may do that, you may have a heart attack. And by the time they're finished, they're saying you might have itchy feet, because they only want you to remember the itchy foot problem. They don't want you to remember all the bad stuff. That's how the drugs sell their drugs, okay? So in this one here, for instance, this house here, I was called by a gentleman. He said, you ever sold a house in Eufy before? Urea formaldehyde foam insulation. I said, yes, I have, years ago. He says, well, I want to talk to you. So I went over and I walked in, and the man was obviously had cancer. He was literally yellow. He was so sick. And he said, I got to get rid of this house. It's an investment property. And he said, I have 10 tenants from hell, and it's got Eufy in the house. I said, well, it has to sell. Everything sells. It's just a price. So he said, I don't care. Just sell it. I said, okay. So I said, list it, do what I say, and we'll get it sold for you. So he said, okay. He listed it fairly low. We had 5 offers. I had my own offer on this one, treating the buyer as the customer, but I was $20,000 less than the best offer. And this was paper. All the offers were on the table with this because of paper. And I said, well, you have to congratulate this agent. He's $20,000 more than I am, and my people are not going to go any more money. He said, okay, I'll go with yours. I says, you're turning down $20,000 profit. He said, yes, I am. I said, and I know why. He said, yeah, I know you know why. Because I wrote a clause in there that said the buyer and the seller hereby agree in the event the tenant fails to vacate the property prior to completion of this transaction, the buyer agrees to assume the existing tenant upon completion. So in other words, his wife is not going to be stuck with some people stuck in the house that refusing to get out after he's gone, because he didn't live too much longer. So this worked out perfect for him. So that was an important one. The next one is another important one also, but I'll go through it quickly. This townhouse listed down the road, down there for, what did it go for? It was this for $449,900. It's a condominium townhouse. I'm going to be listing one at the other end of the building, identical unit. I called the agent. I said, I'm going to wait till yours is sold because I don't want to go into competition with you. He's okay. I said, have you done anything to it? No staging, nothing. Okay. I said, I've been explaining this to the people. So then he sold his. So I had mine staged. We really did a beautiful job on it. And the owner actually did a lot of the work herself. She's really good. And we sold it with 5 offers for $517,000, $67,100 more than the other one, because the agent, me, took the time and effort to make sure the place was ready, showing the top to get top dollar. So that worked out. Same thing was this one here. Was on the market for a year, sold for $925,000, sold for 1.1. It was listed 925, but never closed. We had a few of those, believe me, when the market changed. Was then listed for $895 for 11 months and never sold. I was called in by my lawyer to have a look at it. I went in and I said, look, list it for $700,000. We'll get multiple offers. They did what I said, and we ended up selling it in 48 hours for $108,100 over the asking price.
Thank you, Ed. I'd love to get to some questions and answers.
All done. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Ed. Anybody put their question and answer in the chat, and Ed would be happy to answer.
Chat box here. Okay. Being recorded. I can see it. We need to go to Q&A soon. We're here. Well, did that good, pretty quick. Yeah, any questions, put them in there and I'll do my best to answer them. And thank you so much for everybody.
So what type of results have you had with this landing page? Out of all these emails that you send out on a monthly basis, what's your return on it?
How many people have actually registered?
Both registered and or listing out of it?
Well, the listing is a group effort because it's the lawyer and me. Okay, so they might call the lawyer and then they come to me, or they'll call me and go to the lawyer. So it's a group effort. I'm getting from the lawyer himself about 8 transactions a year.
Wow. So
that's pretty good. And they're all, our average price is right at $1 million a home right now. Now that would be about 780,000 American dollars, approximately. Our dollar isn't worth as much as yours. So.
And
anyway.
how much traction are you getting on a weekly or monthly basis with all of this information that you send out?
How do you mean?
Like capture, how much data, how much are you capturing as far as people coming
the only
and
time
registering at your landing page?
The only time I capture people is when I send out another invitation to another senior seminar. Okay, I'm not getting captures during a regular time. Okay, because the people I already have. I can actually, let me just go back here, and how many I have at the moment. I can actually go into. Many of you folks using KB Core?
I think most of us are.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have mixed with, I would say, hold on a second, seniors that have come into my database. I'm going to go in here and just do a hashtag. names that I have so far in here is 155 names. I would say 80 of them are from my seminars. So, and it's only part of my business. It's not my main business too. I do a lot of condos besides that sort of thing. And keep in mind, I'm only working 8 months of a year. I'm golfing for 4 months a year in Florida. I retired for 3 days and my wife almost went through the roof, said, get out of here.
Ken Baker wants to know, do you refer folks out of the States?
Of course.
States.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I should start referring people in Winmore, I'll tell you. I have a lot of Canadians buying in Winmore. Oh my God.
I'm there to help
Yeah.
you. I'm licensed. I'll be licensed in both Florida and California.
I have more personal friends in Winmore in Florida than I have in Toronto. I have a lot of business people in Toronto, but we've got so many friends down there. It's like, it's just great. It's a wonderful place. I'll tell you, I love Florida. I just love it down there. I don't drive down anymore. I ship the car down now and ship it home. It's worth it. It's $1,500 to ship the car down.
Right.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have questions for Ed? Ed, thank you so much for teaching us.
Hold on. Do you tell these folks that you are an expert iPad, you have teaching? Ed, do you tell, oh, who's this?
So Rashid said, do you tell these folks that you're also an expert at the iPad and you have been teaching this education? So do you teach
Rashid,
classes
have you
here
been in
at
my class?
eXp?
Rashid, have you been to my class here before? I'm just wondering because, yeah, I've done, I would do an iPad class if you want. I just don't even use a filing cabinet anymore. Everything's in my iPad. Everything's in my iPad. And I do, I have a lot of videos. If you're interested, go to edsclubs.com. I'll just show it to you briefly. It's something I do. It's a hobby. And it's edsclubs.com. I have recordings in there. People that have guest speakers that I've had come in and do speaking for me. I do this also so that agents that I'm trying to attract know that I'm not just trying to attract, I do other things. If you go into here, you'll see a lot of my stuff I've taught. I have 23 videos that I have on a lot in Vimeo and a lot in YouTube on how to be paperless with an iPad.
Quite the hip guy, because I don't know most of this. I said, you're quite the hip guy because I don't know most of this.
Yeah, well,
I love that. He knows so much technology. More than
also,
me.
Well, next week we have Sheila. Hi, Sheila. Next week we have Sheila.
What do you use to get the iPad to talk to your PC screen? To share.
how do I share my?
Yeah. What do you use?
I'm sharing my screen. There's a couple of ways you can do it. On Apple, you can use QuickTime, but you have to have it plugged in. But there is an application, I'm pretty sure it also works on Windows, and it allows you to call down on your iPad to share your screen. And let me see if it shows it here. And then what you're sharing it to. And the program is called Reflector.
Reflector.
There are a few of them out there, but I find Reflector to be excellent. And how I use Reflector is I will have my laptop, my MacBook Pro, especially in COVID, I'll sit at the table with the client on the other side of the table. I'll turn my laptop so they're looking at it, but I will use my iPad to display on the screen.
Yeah, I didn't know you had a Mac PC
Comfortable
too.
that
So,
I'm not on top of them with a mask during COVID. I'm on the other side of the table and they're seeing everything that I'm, just as you did here.
correct.
Okay, I could have turned that monitor that you just looked at, I could have turned it somewhere else and they could have watched the whole presentation. So that's how I do all my presentations right now. And I can actually do it from my home office, which is, this is my home office. I do all my, pretty well all my CMAs from my home office with Zoom, and all my offer presentations are with Zoom, except this one I'm listening next week. And she just refuses to consider technology, and that's her gal. So I have to bite the bullet, and haven't gone up and presented an offer in person in a long time. So I gotta learn
Good
that.
presentation, Ed.
Thank
Great.
you.
Looks like you did a lot of work to get this all set up.
Well, no,
Good
more
stuff.
than half of this is already set up. It's a presentation that I already use anyway, so
I mean,
but
setting up the website and doing everything like that to get it started.
thank you, thank you. Okay, well, great. Well, thank you, Donald, and Heather, thank you for inviting me. I've just enjoyed it very much.
I'm so glad we had you.
Yep, good
Well,
presentation.
Okay, thanks again.
Good stuff. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Ed. Great
Everything-
presentation.
It's going to be recorded. It'll be put up tomorrow.
Great
Maybe
job,
even
Heather.
tonight.
Oh, tonight,
No,
even better.
tomorrow.
No, just
I need to
kidding.
go have some dinner.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for
Right.
joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday with Sheila. Thanks,
Thank
Sheila.
you.
Thanks, everybody.